Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays. And I am back from Chicago. I was there last week, and I had a absolute blast with some of my favorite food of all time. Chicago always has incredible food. It's one of my favorite things in the world, going to Chicago. But I have a lot of adventures to share with you in my film journey, which is what we're doing today, where I have been physically writing down all of the things that I've been watching and all the things that I've been picking up during the week. And I'm a little bit delayed because of my Chicago trip, and so that's where we're a little late to the party here. But that being said, I'm going to be covering some of the things that I picked up, some of my adventures in Chicago, and some of the movies that I watched as well during the week, because I was able to watch some movies up there, and it was a really great time. All the movies I watched were incredible. But before we jump into the films that I have picked up, I would love to know what you've been watching for the week. Have you been watching a lot of holiday films? Have you been traveling yourself? I would love to know in the comment section down below. So let's head over to a different section and talk about the things that I picked up. And welcome to the unofficially named Collector's Corner, where I talk about all the things that I picked up for the week and also tell you a little bit of a story time for what the week's theme was like. And over here is the theme shelf here. I actually got some new mugs, which I'll showcase here, along with some films. I feel like these movies really represent Chicago and my love of the city. I really adore this city. There's fantastic food. I love riding the L. I love going to different coffee shops and also just going to different, record stores, sports venues, etc. It's just a really, really fun city for me. So these three films are great representations of why I love the city. One is Hoop Dreams. As many of you know, that I'm a huge basketball fan, so I went to a Bulls game at the United Arena, and I was able to watch my Pacers beat the Bulls, which was really fun. Big fan of the Bulls as well, but I actually got hassled by the people behind me, and it was the best time. We laughed at each other quite a bit, and I just really love that. But yeah, Hoop Dreams. So I'll show you a Chicago Bull mug that I picked up right next to it. I also have High Fidelity, which is one of my favorite films of all time. I talked about Empire Records last time and how much record stores mean to me, and record spaces mean a lot to me. High Fidelity is a really incredible film about that idea of a record store and within a relationship, which is really cool too. And we also have one of the most famous films of all time, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is a really fun, just slack off movie. And I thought that was really, keen to what I was doing. I was just, taking the vacation up in Chicago for a week and not doing anything. And that was really, really fun. So let's showcase some of the mugs that are next to them. So if we have Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I actually went to the Art Institute. And this is my first time going here, which I've been to Chicago multiple times, but I've still never, ever been here, which is crazy. But this place was amazing. It had the Great Wave off Kanagawa, I think, by Hokusai, which is one of the most famous paintings or prints in the world, which was really, really sweet. And then I just had to get a mug because I love this place. I could have spent many hours in here, but I only was able to spend about 3 hours in there, which was ideal, but it's fine. The other thing I have here next to High Fidelity is the Brood coffee, which the Brood is a David Cronenberg film, but they actually have a horror themed movie store, I guess, of coffee shop, which is what this thing is. It's a coffee shop. It's called the Brood Coffee. And the Brood is somewhere I wanted to go alongside going to Kuma's Corner, which is, if you are a metalhead, you understand how much that place means to a lot of people. But yeah, this place was amazing. So I had to get some merch and get some, pictures of what the store looked like, just having all these different horror movies on the wall, and then also various different, I guess, horror aesthetic, like toys and like also different, cereals like Blueberry and things along those lines you can get at the coffee bar. It's really, really cool to get something like that. So yeah, I had to get this yellow mug, and I just love the yellow and the blue. This is just a really cool combination of colors. And then finally, I have my Chicago Bulls mug, which is just pretty much a celebration of the city. You have the MJ logo right there. Everyone was a Bulls fan back in the 90s, and I was too. And I just love this city so much that, basketball lives and breathes here, in my opinion, even if the Bulls maybe aren't that great, and neither are my team. But I had to get a Bulls mug to represent my, love of that the sport itself, and then also just seeing that in the United Arena itself. So this is just a really cool mug, kind of getting all that in there. So let's actually showcase some of the titles that I picked up. I actually got some records, and I also have some Blu-rays. Some of them I got in Chicago, some I got in the mail on, when I wasn't here. So jumping into the things that I picked up over there, I was able to go to a couple of concerts while I was also in Chicago for Blood Incantation, which is what this shirt is, and man, that's my favorite album of the year. But besides that, I was able to go to a Morbid Angel show, and that was really cool. But I was also able to go to Reckless Records, which is one of my favorite places to stop by. And I was able to pick up a few records here. One is of a band that I really, really love. One that I watched back in 2020, right before the pandemic even started, back up in Lawrence, and that is Cult of Luna right here. This is the album they put out a couple years ago, The Raging River, which I'm very excited to finally own, on, physical disc. It's probably really shiny because you can see all of my movies. But yeah, you can kind of see what that looks like. But Cult of Luna, one of my favorite bands of all time, post-metal bands, and I'm really just excited to have this, which only has a few tracks, but it pretty much is a full-length album. And the next is one of the best indie rock bands of all time, and a very legendary one for a lot of people, and that's American Football. And American Football, I actually got, Volume 3, which is probably my favorite of the bunch, which is their Return album. I actually am not super familiar with the history of this entire band. I know a lot of people are, but this one really hooked its nails in me when I listened to it back years back when it came out, and I adore it, and I never had it on record, and so I've spun this already, and it's already out of its shell, but it's actually a sky blue, kind of similar to that color. But American Football, great band, love them. So yeah, a little bit of metal and some indie rock. So now let's jump into the movies. I was able to get there right on time for the very end of the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale, so I was able to pick up a few more titles from Barnes & Noble, some Criterions. I actually got a 4K and a Blu-ray, and these are two films that one of them I've been wanting a long time, and then the other one, I'm like, you know what? Might as well, let's check it out. So the first one, the one that I wanted for a while, is Paper Moon from Peter Bogdanovich. This movie, I've been wanting to have a Blu-ray release for the longest time. I know that it has been released over in Europe, and it has some editions over there, but I've never been able to pick this movie up, and so now Criterion finally put it out. But as somebody who loves The Last Picture Show, and also just hearing Peter Bogdanovich talk about the different films that he's been a part of, or at least maybe his criticism of a lot of things, it's just really cool to have this, and this looks like a really fun film. I don't know too much about it. I guess it's during the 1930s Dust Bowl, but it looks like a kind of Bonnie and Clyde, but between a little kid and a father-like figure. So that's going to be exciting to watch. So I'm excited for that. And then the other film that I got is Harmony Korine's debut film, which Harmony Korine, he's a little out there for some people, but I picked up Gummo, which I've been warned about from several of my friends, but I think I'm going to have a good time with it. This is the 4K release of it, and this really just kind of showcases Harmony Korine's, I guess, auteur nature as he's going into the filmmaking that he would make in the future. So don't know really much about this, but again, I wanted to check this one out, and some of my best friends, this is like their favorite film, which is really cool. Now, the other films that I have, some of them that I have seen, one, just because I got this on a Black Friday deal, and it was a really good price, and I really love this movie. It's probably one of the best movies of the year. That's Dune 2. Dune Part 2. This is a movie to watch, and if you can watch it on the biggest screen possible, definitely do yourself a favor. I'm sure this will be re-released sometime in theaters, but I have a decent setup myself, so I'm excited to kind of do a back-to-back with Dune 1 and Dune Part 2, and I finally have it on 4K, so I'm excited to watch this again. One of the best movies, one of the best sci-fi movies of the last decade, honestly. Well, it's not been much of a decade, but this movie is incredible. Denis Villeneuve, he just makes great films. The next film I have right here is another one that I have seen, but I haven't seen the current iteration of this. This is from 88 Films. This is a 4K release of this film. And if you know this, you can tell back here, I love a lot of folk horror films. I got Witchfinder General on 4K from 88 Films. I almost was able to pick this up over in England when I was there in the summer, but I did not pick that up. And so I've kind of went back and actually also have Blood on Satan's Claw coming in the mail as well from 88 Films. But yeah, this edition looks fantastic. I've heard good things about it. I don't really know much about in terms of the restoration, but there's some different, additions added to this. But, this is one of the tentpole films for folk horror, and Vincent Price is scary how intense he is in this movie. So if you've not seen this movie, just be prepared. If you've watched any kind of Vincent Price movies, this is probably one of his most intense roles, and he is a bastard in this movie. So check out Witchfinder General. I'm excited to finally watch that. Next is a documentary that I've been wanting to watch ever since I heard about this coming out. And I love these filmmakers. In fact, I've only seen half of their filmography, which is a crime, but I will eventually amend that. And that is Powell and Pressburger, and this is Made in England. This is one of the, best duo directors of all time, and they made some of the most, incredible English classics, especially from like the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. A lot of these movies, like The Red Shoes, for instance, is just like a masterpiece, right? And a lot of the best films of all times, like A Matter of Life and Death, they've made in just incredible, incredible films. So I am so excited to watch this. I think I might watch some of their previous films, the ones that I haven't seen first. That way I can get that out of the way and then watch this documentary. But excited to have this. This is actually presented and narrated by Martin Scorsese. So that's going to be really nice to hear too. And I know he's a huge fan. Everyone should be for Powell and Pressburger. They're incredible filmmakers. Next, I want a big shout out to my buddy Davey, who actually got me involved in this. And I don't really know much about this. A lot of my UK friends are probably going to be really excited that I have this, but this is a classic television, premiere of the Box of Delights. So this is the BBC 6 episode, I believe, episode of this special of this fantasy Christmas story. And I've actually watched the first episode of this young boy meeting these mysterious characters on this train, and this mysterious old man who has this box of delights, and a lot of crazy adventures have already started in that first episode. So I'm excited to watch this, especially as we are in December and I'm going to be watching something like this. So this is right up my alley in terms of films that are like mystery or fantasy, but also just have a Christmas spirit, and the one that just enchants you as you watch it. So I'm excited to watch this and add it to my collection. And next is another BBC TV classic, and one that I'm sure to watch the first volume finally, and volume 2 now, of the BBC's Ghost Stories for Christmas. So this is volume 2, and I meant to get this last year, but I never got around to it. So I finally have volume 1 and volume 2. This has some different 1970s tales that I'm really excited about, but I don't really know much about this per se, but it is all from 1974 to 1978. It has the films The Treasure of Abbot Thomas, The Ash Tree, The Signalman, Stigma, and The Ice House. So 5 films in here. It's gonna be a good time. I know it's gonna be some scary stuff because I've already been warned by my friends, but yeah, it's also just really exciting to check out. And the last thing I got, and I will talk about more so over in the closet, is this bad boy right here, the 4K of Watership Down. Holy moly. Watership Down by Richard Adams is one of my favorite books of all time, one of my favorite children's books of all time. I'm a huge fan of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and things along this this ilk, of adventure films. And this movie is really dark. It's an animated film that came out in the late 70s. I actually have the Criterion on the shelf elsewhere, but this is the BFI 4K of it. So I'll just showcase this, and then I'll talk about the film itself over there. But so let's just look at that. This is the BFI release. Comes with a couple of things. It comes with this amazing artwork, the booklet with the BFI puts out. And then it also has the 4K itself with a bunch of special features, which we'll get into. And then the last thing it has is this poster. There's a double-sided poster with the new art and also the original artwork that I'm really excited to finally frame this, because this is one of my favorite stories of all time. I love Watership Down. I don't think you understand. Right here is the new commissioned artwork, and then the original art, which is the one that I like the most, is this. But like I said, this movie is not for the faint of heart, even though it is a young adult story. So some kids can watch it, but some can't, because there's some violence in it. And let's actually cover some of the films that I watched this week. And we're back. So, as I said before, I was able to watch some stuff in Chicago. But before I jump into that, let's talk about Watership Down. Literally just talked about it. But this 4K, holy moly, this 4K looks incredible. And I have the Blu-ray from Criterion, and that is a great disc. And I think that is a disc that is very high standards. But I remember last year this was announced to come out, but I think it was delayed. I don't remember exactly why, but I'm assuming some kind of licensing thing happening. And this is just an incredible release from the BFI. This 4K looks and sounds terrific. I was able to watch some of the special features on this disc as well. There's actually some really good archival stuff in here, but also some 2024 stuff, like a commentary from scholars Catherine Lester and Sam Summers. But also there are some storyboard comparisons that came out this last year, and then also some designing Watership Down, but a lot of archival stuff. Just looking at this, and this thing is stacked as I showed you over there. Yeah, this movie is terrific. Again, a young adult film, one about a warren of rabbits kind of cast out of their land, going to trying to find a new home. And there's actually a very spiritual side to these rabbits as well, where they have a very grounded, I guess, sense of the world itself, and they have a lot of traditions that they showcase in this. But it reminds me a lot of like something like The Hobbit, where there's going on adventure, but there's danger out there, and there is going to be some danger, and there's going to be some death, and it is a terrific blend of that. But also it looks terrific too, because this is a very stylish animated film. This is a film that a lot of movies around this time period came out in the mid 70s. Something like this did not, exist really, especially the type of animation that it was. It was like the stop motion, but this hand-drawn stuff, it looks really, really good. And the 4K does a good restoration of it. But yeah, I'd give this movie a 5 out of 5. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. One that I love and adore, and I love the soundtrack in this movie, and then also just everything about it. So it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I definitely recommend people check out Watership Down if you're a fan of stuff like that. Next, I'm going to go out of order because I can't remember when I watched certain films. I think I watched this movie first, but we were able to go to the Alamo Draft House up in Chicago, and I love that place. It's a video vortex. It's set up like very much like an old video store, but with like a lot of different TVs stacked up on top of each other with a lot of VHSs and a different section. But we were able to watch A Real Pain, which is the new film from Jesse Eisenberg, and that movie was terrific. It's starring Jesse Eisenberg, and also I can't remember which Culkin, but I'll put it here. But this movie is about their cousins, and they are a little estranged. They used to be really, really close. The tight-knit community of them were really just from their grandmother, who survived the Holocaust, and that's actually why they're together. They're actually going to explore their past, and their past in Europe. And so they go and they meet each other at an airport, and then they meet up with this group of different people from different backgrounds, all very similar in terms of coming back to recollect some history. There's even some people in there that are non-traditionally Jewish, and it's kind of seeing that dynamic, but also at the same time seeing how much differences there are between all of the characters in here. But my God, is this movie it's a tearjerker. It tears on your heartstrings. It's a movie that really gets to the pain of really loving each other, and also I guess withstanding each other and being around them even in their darkest moments. So there's a lot of things going on, and I really love this movie. I cannot praise it enough. This movie probably is one of my favorite movies of the year. It's one that it's an emotional roller coaster for me. It's really funny too. It's got a lot of black comedy moments. Culkin himself is just one of the best characters on screen, but Jesse Eisenberg playing off of that is just so much banter, and there's so much anxiety that is present within this. And so I highly recommend people check it out if you get the chance. I think it's maybe almost out of theaters now, so it's sad to see that, but I definitely give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. It's an incredible watch, and I highly, highly recommend it. The next film I want to talk about is we went to the Gene Siskel Center, and that place is amazing. First of all, that was a bad day because I actually woke up and I had really bad foot pain, and I believe I might have a little bit of plantar fasciitis, which kind of sucks because that sucks, but I have a shoe insert and I feel better now. But that being said, I barely made this movie, but we were able to watch Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread. And I was able to rewatch this movie in the theater. And first of all, I adore this movie to begin with, but I was really excited to watch it again. One, in the Gene Siskel Center, which is really, really cool. I really love the setup of that theater. I wasn't able to explore it that much because I literally got there last minute. But rewatching this movie, holy moly, the subtleties in this are just tremendous. And this is the last film that we have right here from Daniel Day-Lewis. I think he might be coming back actually with his son or something. That's what I've heard. But regardless, this is an incredible, incredible film about love and, you know, again, very similar to A Real Pain, how to put up with that and how to look at that and see the, you know, different intricacies of those relationships. And it's really fascinating because we put up with a lot of things, and some people are very, very stubborn, especially Daniel Day-Lewis's character, who is this tailor, this really famous tailor, who has designed a lot of really luxurious clothing lines for a lot of different debutantes and whatnot. But he meets this girl, Alma, who is right here, played by, and I'm going to get her name incorrectly, Vicky Krieps, who is tremendous in here as well. She kind of just clashes with him, kind of more common compared to what he is used to, but very charming, and their dynamic works super, super well. And, you know, seeing that unfold throughout the film is just really, really fun. There's a lot of really funny moments, a lot of really tense moments, but it's a gorgeous film. It's also a gorgeous shot film. This movie looks delightful, especially on the big screen. This actually might be my favorite, you know, Thomas Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, I almost said Wes, film that he's made. I honestly think so. And I love the ending of this movie, and I won't give it away if you've not seen it. So, but it just cracks a big smile on my face, how shitty they can act to each other and still love each other. But yeah, Phantom Thread, this movie is a 5 out of 5. This movie is incredible. And the last film that I watched was actually at a Landmark Theater, which I was able to go to a Landmark Theater back in Colorado last year. I think I was able to watch The Holdovers over there, and that was a really special experience for me. So going to another Landmark Theater was really unique and really cool to see, but in Chicago this time. And we were able to watch the movie Night Bitch. And that's a crazy title, but Amy Adams plays this mom who is definitely, you know, maybe going through the routine of being a mother, but, you know, maybe starting to see cyclical things about it, and then also noticing that she's growing some peculiar stuff going on with the back of her back, maybe growing some hair. She might be turning into a dog, which is weird, but it is also really, you know, metaphoric with the way that this film kind of portrays it. If you've seen the movie Tully, it's kind of along those kind of lines where it really does look at motherhood in a very raw way. And I'm not a mom myself, so I don't really know, but I can just see how much love and effort Amy Adams put into this movie, but also just the frustrations of being a mother and seeing that just like, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna unleash myself and become my inner night bitch is what she kind of does in this movie as she possibly transforms into a dog during very inopportune times. And that's all I'll say. It sounds really fantastical, right? But it is a really great film. I think there's a lot of layers to it, and I think it's something that I want to watch in the future and see something, you know, a little bit deeper with this movie. But I really liked it. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a movie that I think I'm going to have to give some space to, but it was a good one, and I definitely recommend people check it out in theaters. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the things that I picked up in Chicago, and also these reviews of the things that I watched for the week. But yeah, I loved my time over there. I love being up there anytime I can. And yeah, I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, comment down below, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm jonesing around. I'm not jonesing around? I'm not jonesing around.